I used to live in a basement apartment. Cheap rent, quiet neighborhood. Nothing ever really happened there. The only weird thing? My bedroom window faced the sidewalk. People walking by could technically look straight into my room, but most didn't. Most just passed by. Except this one man. The first time I saw him, it was around 2 a.m. I was half asleep, scrolling on my phone, when I noticed a shape standing near the window. He wasn't doing anything. Just standing there, inches from the glass. No movement. No sound. Just standing. I froze. I remember thinking maybe I was imagining it. Maybe it was a shadow from the street lamp. But when I slowly reached for my phone and turned the flashlight on, his eyes caught the light. He was real. I jumped up, heart pounding, and yelled out, "Hey!" But he didn't flinch, didn't blink, just stood there with this expression. Not angry, not sad, just blank. Like he wasn't really seeing me at all. I grabbed a kitchen knife, ran outside, but by the time I got to the sidewalk, he was gone. For the next 2 nights, I barely slept. I kept my blinds shut tight, kept a hammer near my bed. Nothing happened, until the 3rd night. This time, he wasn't at the window. He was standing across the street, perfectly still, just outside the reach of the streetlight. Watching. I could see his silhouette, tall, thin, hands by his sides. And I swear to God, the second I noticed him, he raised his hand and waved. I didn't go outside that time. I just called the cops. They drove by, saw nothing, told me to install a camera. So I did. A motion sensor one. It worked fine during the day, but at night, it glitched, showed static between 1 and 3 a.m. every night, every single night. I even swapped the camera, same result, as if something didn't want to be seen. Then, last week, I woke up to a soft knock on the window. I'd frozen in bed. Then I heard my phone buzz, a text from an unknown number. It just said, "You shouldn't have looked at me." I moved out the next morning. Haven't seen him since. But sometimes, at night, I still leave my curtains a little open, just to make sure he's not there. So far, he isn't. About 4 years ago, my cousin Alex invited me to spend a weekend with him at a remote cabin in the woods of northern Michigan. It wasn't some tourist Airbnb. This was an old family cabin, hand-built by our grandfather, deep enough into the woods that GPS went dead a mile before you reached it. Alex had been going up there alone for months. He said it helped him clear his head. Honestly, I think he just wanted to get away from people. His fiancée had left him recently, and he was different after that. Quieter, edgy. Still, when he offered a weekend of beer, bonfires, and no cell service, I was in. We arrived late Friday. I'll admit, the place was gorgeous in the daylight. Wooden porch, scattered pine needles, the distant sound of birds and running water. But as soon as the sun dipped behind the trees, the place changed. The silence felt heavier. That first night we sat by the fire, talking about dumb stuff. At one point, Alex looked toward the trees and froze mid-sentence. "What?" I asked. He didn't say anything at first. Then, thought I saw something. I turned. Nothing but dark forest. He forced a laugh, but it was off. Coyotes, maybe. Or a deer. But here's the thing. The nearest neighbors were 6 miles away, and there were no coyotes around those woods. I know that because I asked him the same question the next day. He shrugged and said, "Never seen any." That night I couldn't sleep. The cabin creaked like it was alive. Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps on the wooden porch. Not animal steps, human, deliberate. I waited, heart racing, barely breathing. The steps moved, slowly, from one end of the porch to the other. Then silence. I wanted to wake Alex, but when I looked over at him, He was already sitting up, eyes wide open in the dark. "You heard it too?" I whispered. He nodded. Then he got up, grabbed his flashlight, and without a word, stepped outside. I waited inside like a coward, holding a fire poker. He came back 5 minutes later, pale and sweating. "No one's there," he said, but he didn't go back to sleep. The next morning, I asked if this had ever happened before. He hesitated. Then he told me he had seen someone in the woods 2 weeks ago. A tall man, pale, no shoes, watching him from a distance. He said he hadn't mentioned it because he thought he was just sleep deprived. I told him we should leave. He said we should stay one more night. I should have left. That night, I didn't sleep at all. Around 3 a.m., I noticed a shape standing at the edge of the tree line. Just standing, still, not moving, no flashlight, no glow of eyes, just a shape against the trees. I shook Alex awake. When he looked out the window, he said, "He's back." That's when I realized Alex knew who it was. I asked him what he meant, but he just said, "We don't go outside, we just wait. Don't look at him too long. He only watches if you look back." We sat in silence for an hour. Then came a knock on the cabin wall. Not the door, the wall, the side that had no windows. Then another knock, closer to the bedroom this time. We didn't move. We didn't speak. Around dawn, it stopped. When we finally stepped outside, there were bare footprints in the dirt, long, thin, leading from the woods to the cabin, but none leading back. We packed up and left. Alex never went back. The cabin is still there, but I don't ask about it anymore, and I never stay anywhere without curtains now. When I was 13, my friends and I used to play a game we called the knocking game. It started as a dumb dare. Sneak out at night, knock on someone's door 3 times, and run before they answered. Harmless, right? We lived in a small town, quiet, tight-knit, a place where everyone knew each other. No crime, no real danger, just bored teenagers making trouble. That summer, we played the game almost every weekend. We'd pick a random house, dare someone to knock, and wait behind bushes or fences, whispering and giggling as porch lights flicked on. One night, we got bold. We picked the old house at the end of Ashgrove Street. You know the type. Every town has one. Overgrown yard, boarded windows, paint peeling from the wood siding. Nobody had lived there in years, or at least that's what we thought. I was the one who had to knock. My friends waited across the street, hiding behind a low fence. I walked up the creaky steps, my sneakers barely making a sound. I knocked. 3 slow knocks. Nothing happened. No lights, no sound, no movement. I stood there for a second longer than I should have, just enough for the nerves to creep in, then turned and bolted. We laughed it off, ran home, slept like babies. The next night, I got a knock on my bedroom window. 3 knocks, exactly like I had done. We lived on the 2nd floor. I froze, didn't move, didn't breathe. Then I heard it again. I finally worked up the courage to pull the curtain open. No one was there. I told my friends the next morning. They swore it wasn't them. Swore they had nothing to do with it. We agreed it must have been the wind, or a bird. We were wrong. That weekend, my friend Marcus, the one who dared me, didn't show up to school on Monday. His mom called the police. They found him in his backyard, unconscious. He had fallen off the roof. Said he thought he saw someone standing at his window. He climbed out to get a better look, and slipped. He broke his arm and collarbone. He also said, and this is the part that stuck with me, he heard 3 knocks just before he looked. After that, none of us played the knocking game again. Until last year. I was 25, living in a different state, working a desk job. One night, I came home late, exhausted, fell into bed without even turning off the lamp. Just as I started drifting off, on my bedroom window, second floor again, I shot up. Curtain was already open this time. No one there. But this time, there was something else. 3 handprints on the glass. Too large for a child. Too wide apart for one person. The next day, I called every one of those old friends. Only one picked up. He told me Marcus had died in a car crash 2 nights ago. 3 knocks, a memory, a message. I don't know what we invited in that night, but sometimes I still hear it, just before I sleep. Knock, knock.